welcome to our UCLA 2025 season preview. Chris, did you know where UCLA is located?
I wasn't sure until Deshaun Foster last year told me UCLA, Eric, believe it or not, is in Los Angeles.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. That is correct. UCLA is in Los Angeles. You know who else is in Los Angeles? That would be one
The Lakers.
Nico. The Laker girls. Yes, they are there as well. Uh,
Yes.
Nico is in UCLA. Last time we saw him play football was in Columbus, Ohio,
And he
and
was super
now
gluing his helmet.
they were putting his helmet back together. Hey, I stand by my comment. Tennessee did not lose because of Nico.
No, that kid gave his all out there. He really did.
I actually came away impressed by him, and I'm telling
He's got a lot of heart and a lot of skill.
and I'm telling you right now, he's not going to have the same year he had in Tennessee. No one, I don't think that's anybody's expectations. But UCLA got a whole heck of a lot better when he decided to go back home and be a Bruin.
Oh yeah, I agree. They got some nice little transfer pieces to go with Nico too. So this is a team that definitely I think upgraded their
Yeah,
talent level quite a bit.
Deshaun Foster's got a scary team if you're not careful. You better strap up your chin strap, or UCLA can beat you. And the way they finished last season, Chris, I think has got the Bruin faithful thinking, you know what? We might be able to turn a page in year number 2 in the Deshaun Foster era. And so let's dive in and talk about that. We got our friends from the Bruin Source going to join us here in just a few minutes. But before that, Chris, let's talk about what they did last year and talk a little bit about UCLA historically. So, looking at this graphic from 2024, they started the year off on the road at Hawaii. Why you do that, I'll never know, but they did.
You
They
have to
won.
ask why you're going to Hawaii. Come on, man.
Well, yeah, but for a football game, no. Come on. 16-13 win before losing 5 straight to Indiana, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, a 4-point loss at home and a tough one to Minnesota. But then look what they did. They beat Rutgers, Nebraska, both on the road, and Iowa. Three of the teams that were all 500 or better in the Big Ten last year, Chris. That tells me UCLA actually had some talent, and they turned a page after a terrible 1-5 start. Then they kind of hit the wall a little bit again against some of them old Pac-12 rivals at Washington, which is a tough place to play. They lose by 6 in the crosstown rivalry against USC. They finish off the year against Fresno State in a win, 20-13, and that's how they got to 5-7, 3-6 in the Big Ten. Vegas said that this was a 5.5 win team. Chris, we had no faith in them. We said 2-10. Again, this was one of those teams where I was like, dude, take it to the bank. They're not going to get 6 wins. I
And
was
they
right.
tested it. They
I
tested
was
it, Eric.
right. I was right. But boy, was it close.
That USC game could have easily gone the other way.
Oh no, that would have that would have been great for them, right? Absolutely. So Deshaun Foster enters his second season there in Los Angeles with UCLA, where he's 5-7 as a head coach, hoping to get to turn that around and get to 6-6 or better. The Rose Bowl seats 80,816 there in Pasadena. UCLA has an all-time record of 642 wins to 453 losses and 37 ties. Their bowl record is 17 wins, 20 losses, and 1 tie, and they have 17 conference titles to their name historically. Chris, your thoughts on the year that was in 2024, year number 1 for Deshaun Foster and the UCLA Bruins?
For me, I think Deshaun Foster showed us a lot. He got a team together, and Eric, yes, they had a lot of losses. That 1-5 stretch, that or 1-4, 1-5 stretch, killed them
Oh, it's
as far as going
devastating.
to a bowl. But my God, did you see that schedule? 3 of those teams were in the playoff, Eric, and LSU was a very good team as well, even though they weren't in the playoff. They played 4 very, very talented teams in that stretch.
They did.
Um, so I look at that and I'm telling you, I feel like this is a team that if they got a little more love last year on that schedule would have easily been a bowl team. Um, this year, still not a lot of love. I think there's still some building going on. I think the important thing for Deshaun is don't take a step backwards if you can get the next step and get to a bowl game this early in your career as you're rebuilding. And obviously, I think Nico's a big piece of that. This is a team that can sneak up and hurt some people. And I think that's what, if you look at their schedule, I think that's what teams like Penn State, Ohio State, Utah, uh, Indiana, Washington, these teams that are just assuming they're going to get an easy win had better be aware because I think this is a team that's going to sneak up on you.
Yeah, you got, like I said, you better have your chin strap on. UCLA is
Yeah.
not going to back down from you. And I'm telling you, if and we'll get into it in the last part of the show when we give you our predictions. But depending on how the season starts, could determine how the season finishes. And so it's going to be interesting. But before Chris and I do that, I want to bring on my friends from over at the Bruin Source Podcast. This is a great interview. You're going to learn so much about the pulse of the fan base, where they're at, where this team is at, what they're thinking going into the season from the people who are plugged into the program and into the sports community there at UCLA. You're going to love this interview. Stick around, folks. And joining us now here on the OHIO podcast is Kevin and Zaid, I believe.
Zed, yeah.
Zed, that was right. I forgot from last year. I'm sorry,
All
Zed.
good, no worries.
From the Bruin Source, our sister podcast over at the College Huddle. And guys, welcome into the OHIO podcast. It's been a year since we've talked.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, some things have changed over there at UCLA, you could say, huh?
It's been a roller coaster for sure.
I mean, the first year was rocky, but yet, you had some positive things happen. And this offseason feels like, gosh darn it, UCLA is really going to compete here. It feels that way from an outsider's perspective. Now, Kevin's giving me some eyebrows. Like he's like, you don't agree with that?
No, well, I hope you're right. We all hope that's true. I mean, like, offseason was exciting. UCLA's back in the news, right? For good or for bad, right? They're back in the news, right? Involved with exciting players, players that are on the national map. Involved with some exciting coaches too. I think that was also part of the excitement of the.
Let's start there, Kevin. Let's do that. Let's just update everybody who's not been paying attention or plugged into UCLA. The coaching staff turnover and changes here. Let's start there.
Yeah, so Deshaun Foster's first staff was very pro heavy, right? So you had Eric Bieniemy coming from the NFL. You had Juan Castillo, an NFL offensive line coach. It was very NFL heavy staff. Sometimes as fans, you're met with excitement because it's like, oh, this big name, we got them as our coordinator and such. But other times, again, with pro coaches coming to college, the concern always is, are they going to be able to take this kind of talent, college talent, and be able to mold them into this massive playbook with complicated play calls and that whole deal, right? I mean, that was all some of the concern. I think the answer to that at the end, it was hard. There are a lot of things I think that from a pro standpoint, Bieniemy, Castillo, some of these coaches trying to do that it doesn't fit in a college program of the state that UCLA currently is in. I think Deshaun Foster, learned from that. He's brought in a lot of, young, energetic college coaches onto the staff. So the big one that people might know in the Big Ten is Tino Sinceri, coming over from Indiana. It was co-offensive coordinator at Indiana. He's coming over to be our offensive coordinator over here. Offensive line, Andy Kwan, again, younger coach, a lot of recruiting energy behind him. In the secondary, Demetrius Martin is someone who's been at UCLA before, won some recruiting awards and such when he was here. So it's a staff that's much more concentrated again on recruiting energy, player acquisition, which is a big part of college sports, as everyone knows. And the results are showing right now in the offseason. UCLA, as we sit here today, sits with the top 20 class, which is, again, about the level that UCLA should always be recruiting at, given where they're located and the kind of players that sit around them. So that, I think, was a very positive change in terms of Deshaun, taking a look at the initial staff he put together, had good intentions, but then making some corrections and then turning this into, again, a staff focused on recruiting, but then also bringing more college-like systems, college-like offenses, things of that nature to it. I think that's something we're all really excited about.
Yep. Zed, let's transition now to a little bit of the player acquisition through the transfer portal. Obviously, you guys got some talented people and a massive name who Ohio State fans are familiar with in Nico, former Tennessee quarterback. So let's start there, man.
Look, Nico, I think there's been a lot of discourse around Nico over the offseason. And ultimately, what I'm focused on is like the talent aspect of it. And I don't think there's any question the Tennessee fans can poo-poo him all they want. But like, if you look at it objectively, he is a upper echelon QB. The talent is there. I think it is a massive, massive upgrade for UCLA to get somebody like that. Now, we can discuss the baggage that comes with him. We can discuss the whole process around how UCLA got him, whether or not, he kind of fell into their laps and we're a little lucky. Sure. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. He's here at least for one season. We have that talent now. And I think what's really exciting is the combination of the player talent that we have in Nico and Tino Sinceri, our new offensive coordinator. I think Sinceri, if you look at his quarterback coaching record, it's been generally very good. I mean, you can look at O'Rourke from last season at Indiana for the most recent data point here. So just looking at that aspect of it, getting him here is a huge win. And from a marketing perspective, just getting him here has been a fun thing to see, right? There's like people talking about UCLA again in the national media, in the sports media, in college football media. So it's been really fun seeing him come through. Now, I think there's still question marks around whether he's going to solve all of our issues, right? Great upgrade at quarterback, but we still need to protect him. And I think this is where some of the additional recruiting wins have been successful with kind of how I think Coach Foster's looking at the program this next season and trying to build around Nico. So we've brought in some high end, high 4-star type guys from high school that have gone elsewhere, places like Florida State, places like Oklahoma, didn't pan out there, and now are kind of coming back home. And you'll see this theme throughout with this recruiting is, hey, let's go after some of these guys that are clearly very talented, yet they just didn't settle in at whatever initial destination out of high school. Let's bring them back home. A lot of these are LA area kids. And so there's a lot of raw talent coming in. Now the question is, will they gel when they come home, and can we coach them up?
Mm-hmm. So, Kevin, I'm assuming, based off of what you guys have told me and that great answer, Zed, you just gave me, that Deshaun's identity of this program is to kind of circle the wagons around what is West Coast, what is LA, what is UCLA blood, if you will, and kind of give it more of a hometown feel. Am I right in saying that?
I mean, he's trying to bring back a lot of the pride of UCLA, and there's so much of that. It's a UCLA, forget football for a second, a very prideful school, just generally speaking, in terms of the alumni base, in terms of just the overall student base that's there. I think Deshaun bringing back some of the passion of being a Bruin and being a Bruin football player is something that we were definitely starving for in the aftermath of the Chip Kelly era and things of that nature. Definitely in Southern California recruiting, Deshaun has made it a point to get coaches out there, be visible. Last cycle, that was a bit tough because it was his first cycle out there as a coach. obviously was behind the 8 ball. It came in February and all that. These days, recruiting finishes by June and July in high school. That's just kind of how the system goes now. This season, that's gone a whole lot better. You see a lot of California kids and West Coast kids generally, committing into the class. But then the transfer class as well. This is what Zed was pointing to, and this is always a thing that UCLA will kind of have going for it. Regardless of what position it's in. Guy like Nico, a guy like some of the guys we have in the transfer class, they're all from the area, and when whatever case comes up. UCLA will always be a kind of classic bounce back destination. It's happened for us before. Zach Charbonnet was that kind of a case, from Michigan back. Now it's happening with Nico. It'll probably happen again, right in the future. So generally, like that kind of theme of the transfer class exists, and it's good that again Deshaun should be using those things to advantage. Those are things that you do. There are all the disadvantages that are discussed about UCLA, but these are the advantages of it that should be put to use.
Year 2 for Deshaun, Zed. How does the pulse of the fan base feel about him so far, given what we've seen in just a short amount of time since he's been given the reins?
I think the recruiting energy has really brought some excitement back. I think you look at getting Nico, for example, that brought a lot of excitement around the fan base. It kind of injected some life. But now you kind of see him bringing out in all the additional talent around him. And you can kind of see the vision like, oh, okay, like fans are recognizing there's a roadmap here to success. Like this team could be competitive. I think the question still is like, can he can recruit. I think we can say that the staff can recruit. We can bring in talent, but can he actually coach them up? Can we get the on-field results? Year 1 was kind of a mixed bag. We saw some good stuff happen, and we saw some really weird, boneheaded coaching decisions throughout the season that lost us games that you would have thought we could have won, or we were in it to win, and kind of fell apart at the end. And so I think that's the next step for him to really win over the fan base is, hey, can we see the on-field results? Can this, talent transfer, this talent recruiting actually translate into wins on the field? And I think people are rooting for him at the end of the day. Like, I don't think there's any true UCLA fan that's sitting here going like, God, I hope he fails so we can move on to the next coach. I think everybody wants him to succeed. And for that reason alone, I feel like the fan base is really rallying behind him. I mean, I'll speak for myself and maybe for Kevin a little bit here, but we were pretty, critical of him last year after his first season. But I think even with the recruiting wins, we're kind of seeing it now, and super supportive, super happy with kind of where the program's going. So I think the fan base is totally rallying behind him. Now we just got to see him win. And if he can string some wins together early on, if we can get bowl eligible this season, which is, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but kind of the expectation, I think, then we'll see this fan base really kind of grow. You'll see the support come back. You'll see the stands starting to fill up. I think you'll see people showing up to the Rose Bowl a lot more. But it all kind of goes back to winning on the field.
Mm-hmm. I'm always concerned when a former player returns in a coaching aspect of things, because I never want to see it not go well for that person and for the fans. Unless it's Jim Harbaugh to Michigan, and then I'm all for failure and getting kicked out of the NCAA for a lifetime ban. That I am for. But yeah, I'm always concerned about that. It's one of the reasons why if Marcus Freeman were to ever return to Ohio State in the form of a head coaching position, I would always be like so weary of that. And just out of that aspect, or someone like an Eddie George, who's now coaching at Bowling Green here in the state of Ohio. That being said, let's jump into the roster here a little bit, and let's see if we can't go over who we project as will be starting. Now I understand at this time of the year, Zed, and I think Kevin's frozen a little bit there. He might have
Uh-oh.
to restart himself there. But this time of the year, I know it's hard to kind of project that, but I'm pretty sure we can pencil Nico in as the starter at quarterback this season
I think that's safe
for
to
the
say.
Bruins. Yeah, I think so. At running back, you guys got another transfer from Cal in Javian Thomas, and I'm assuming that he, along with Jalen Berger and Anthony Frias II, are probably your go-to. Is it a running back by committee here this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the general consensus around this is going to be some combination of Berger um, and the transfer in coming in from Cal. I don't know how much guys like Isaiah Carlson are gonna fit in. Anthony Frias played a little bit last year. He transferred in last year, and he's kind of a big back who can carry the ball in some of those short yardage situations. We'll see kind of where he fits in. But like ultimately, yeah, I think it's going to be the combination of those two guys, and I think there's some talent there, right? Like Javion Thomas looked good at Cal last year. Um, and I think Berger looked good in some spot minutes at UCLA last season too. And he's played in the Big Ten, obviously coming over from Michigan State and now having a year under his belt here. So I think it will be a little bit of a combination of those two guys. The other guy I'm very interested in seeing if he emerges or not is Carson Cox. He was a 4-star recruit coming in. He's supposed to be very athletic, super fast. He is going to be a freshman, so unsure how much he'll actually see the field, but he has a lot of raw talent. So kind of curious to see where he fits in. But I think you're spot on. It's mostly going to be those two guys kind of filling in at running back here.
Kevin, let's flip it over to the receivers and tight end position, if you don't mind, and maybe go over who you think will be the starters. I've got penciled in here from our lads, Quasi Gilmer and Titus, and boy, help me out with this one, Mokio. I can't.
Titus, yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
It took us a while. Yeah.
It's a mouthful.
I got this one. Mikey Matthews, the transfer. I could do that one. From he's transferring in from it looks like Cal as well. So another Cal departure.
Yeah.
And then at tight end you got Hudson. Boy, I don't know. That's another last name. Thank you. Another last name I'm unfamiliar with there. But talk to me about these weapons for Nico. How we feeling there?
So I think the reason that we're excited to bring Nico in is if we had on offense at least a position group that we felt good about, it was the receivers and tight ends. So Quasi Gilmer, I think, showed some good flashes last year. He was a former 4-star recruit. Looks the part. He looks the part of an NFL kind of receiver. You're hoping for him to take the next step over there. Titus Mokiao-Atimalala, probably UCLA's most overall productive receiver. Were one of them last year, so good to get him back in the mix. Rico Flores was someone that I think we were excited about, but he's gone down with a bit of an injury. So Mikey Matthews comes in from Cal to fill in there. So I think a good set of weapons. Some of them are the big, long type. Some of them are the speedy, quick type. So you got a good mix there. Tight end, Hudson Habermill is, I think, someone that UCLA fans have been waiting to come on for a while. Injuries just have always gotten in the way for him. The hope is that he can come back and have a good season because the physical tools have always kind of been there. But otherwise, Jack Peterson behind him, he's someone that, again, does come with a little bit of recruiting pedigree behind him. Again, got the measurables. He definitely, again, looks the part. So I think the weapons are going to be serviceable enough, and you got potential for a couple of these guys to become really good players. And so I think the potential is there so long as, and again, I'm sure you're going to get to the offensive line, like that's going to be the position group for me that's going to make or break UCLA this season.
All right, let's talk offensive line. You guys mentioned it earlier in this interview, and it seems like that was definitely something that was of a concern last year. Bring a couple transfers in, and Cortland Ford was, if I remember, was he from? He's the one from
Kentucky, yeah.
Kentucky,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
originally from USC, right?
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Okay. And then that's always interesting when a rival. I mean, you do go over to the SEC for a year and play for the Wildcats before coming back to the rival. But
Yeah.
and then Julian Armella from, I believe, was it Florida State?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
At right guard. And then you got some homegrown guys. So talk to me about the offensive line, Zed, and kind of give me the rundown of who's going to be making sure that the $1 million man Nico stays upright.
Yeah, this is a little tougher to project, I think, with a lot of the new faces coming in. I mean, you mentioned most of them, but even guys like Eugene Brooks, who is coming kind of via Oklahoma, right? There's some talent here. I think the one guy that we are hoping will be able to man one of the tackle spots is Garrett DeGiorgio. He's been here for a few years. He'll be a senior now. He's shown that he can play the part. So there's a little bit of consistency there. Another guy we hope can step up a little bit that's been here for a few years is Jalen Jeffers. But I think regardless of how the starting O-line lineup kind of shapes out, I think what's really important here is we actually have a legitimate depth chart in terms of number of bodies for the O-line. I think if you look at the last few years, going back into the Kelly era, we were playing with a paper thin O-line. There was zero depth. I think the starting talent was at a deficit, and it was just
walk-ons really deep, the whole deal.
Yeah, like one injury and you're basically starting walk-ons. And now we have a legitimate two deep with actual scholarship guys all across the roster here. And that in and of itself is a huge win. Like that is a huge improvement over what we've seen over the last few years. And that gets me excited. It gives me a little bit of hope that we can actually protect Nico and he's not going to be running for his life. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, being like, okay, this is a win on Foster's end, and hopefully out of this group, out of this two deep, out of this depth, we can actually cobble together an effective O-line.
Flip it to the other side of the ball. Let's go ahead and start up front with the defensive line, Kevin. Talk to me about the depth chart up front and how we look in the trenches on the defensive side.
Yeah, so I think defensive tackle is a position where I think UCLA's got some bodies and some decent talent there. I think Keanu Williams' hope is that he can come back from injury and be good. Gary Smith is another player that's been in the program for some time. Siali Tupaki is an offensive lineman that flipped positions last year. So I think defensive tackle is a spot where you got some players that have had some experience. Edge is going to be the question mark for UCLA. If you're looking at the edge spot, you're really placing your faith in defensive coordinator Akaika Malloy, who's definitely got a track record at this point. Leatu Latu a couple years ago in the Murphy twins. Latu was the big name that went in the first round. Last year, took bubblegum and tape and put a pass rush together. He took a linebacker and Femi Oladejo, threw him at edge, and he became a top 3 round pick. So you're placing your trust in him there, because the players that we got, again, Nico DeVilliers, I mean, he's coming in. Devin Apuyu. I mean, these are players that you're hoping can kind of take the next step. You got some transfers coming in like Keyshawn Bennett from Michigan. No one really that's proven in that group. And so if you're looking for where an edge rush is coming from, right now we'd be guessing. We didn't see a whole lot of spring ball and whatnot. That was all kind of behind the scenes. So right now you'd be guessing, but you're kind of placing your faith in Akaika Malloy, because across the defense, we'll go through the other positions, but this is the one where, I think, again, it's going to make or break the defense if UCLA can put a pass rush together.
Yeah, but again, I think just to point this out, like there's some guys that we've brought in that to Kevin's point, we're bringing home and could fill that need, right? So you mentioned Keyshawn Bennett, you mentioned a guy like Ashton Sanders coming in, or even DeVilliers. Like there's pieces that you can see. Hey, there's some talent here. It wasn't realized that they're former schools, but like we're hoping Kaika Malloy can work his magic here, and that's kind of what we were looking for. Like there's talent coming in, even at the D line, even at edge where it was been kind of spotty. There's some signs of life.
And the thing I like about it, and the thing that maybe you can hang your hat on, is it's mature talent.
Yeah.
These are 23, 22, 23-year-old guys, fifth-year players. One thing you can't teach someone is age. That just takes time. So these are men, okay? They might not have a ton of experience on the field, but they've been in programs for multiple years and developed, and so they have 22, 23-year-old bodies. And as long as they can stay healthy, the reps are going to come as the season progresses. This might be a defensive line that by the end of the year, to your point, Kevin, can produce by the end of the year pretty well for you. Given the fact that who they're being coached by. Zed, let's go to the linebacker position here. You got a couple names I recognize. Jalen Woods. The Vaughn name is someone that I've seen before. Feeling pretty good about linebacker?
Yeah, I think there's some guys here that we're hoping step up, right? I think Jalen Woods has been solid. John Vaughns has been in the program for a number of years. He's been a two-sport athlete. He actually played baseball for a few years as well. So the athleticism is certainly there, and he showed some life. I think the other guy that I'm looking at is Isaiah Chisholm, who is transferring in from Oregon State. And he has a lot of experience and he's looked good there. So I think amongst this group, we should be able to cobble together a pretty solid linebacking core. Again, like I think this is a little bit of putting a lot of faith and trust in Ikaika Malloy and hoping that last season was not just a one-hit wonder, that he can actually, consistently coordinate a solid defense with the pieces he has. So I think there's enough talent here to be effective. And I think it's up to Malloy to, again, really eke out every ounce of talent from this crew.
The other example on the linebacking crew, again, last year, Carson Schwessinger, a walk-on.
Yeah.
We threw one linebacker up at edge and then put the other one as a walk-on at linebacker. And he turned into the first pick of the second round. And so, again, you're looking for signs of life there. Another example of taking bubblegum and tape and turning him into an NFL draft pick.
Gotcha. Let's go to the secondary, guys. Kevin, I'll start with you. However you want to break this down, but there's some new names there.
Yeah, a lot of new names. This is a lot of players coming in, a lot of recruiting done this offseason, this area. This is kind of the Demetrius Martin effect. He was at UCLA before, known as a very strong recruiter. And so he's brought in a lot of bodies from the transfer portal. So right now, again, it's hard to project given the number of new bodies, but at this point in time, looking like, likes to play 2 to 3 safeties at a time. Key Lawrence, Croy Stewart out at safety. The corners right now probably project to be Andre Jordan and Kanye Clark. But again, there's guys in here that came in. Roderick Pleasant, for example, was a former kind of top 150 player that went to Oregon. Is going to be coming back. Got to see how that works out. Like that, you have some other transfers that came in.
Perry.
Out. Yeah, exactly. So secondary, I expect competition in the fall to see exactly where the depth chart shakes out. But I think, again, UCLA will have some options as far as who they actually put out.
Indeed. Tell me if I'm right or I feel like this roster looks better than last year. It looks better.
So, agree. You start at, first off, it's so many times when you look at a team, it's like, do they got a quarterback that you believe in? So, their talent is there, whether that works out, whether the coaching works out, right? But the talent is there at that. I think for us, the numbers are just better, just overall throughout the roster. This was just a huge point of contention where, again, you look at so many positions of the depth chart in the last 2 years, and it's like senior, walk on. And then it's like, senior, freshman, just very unbalanced positions. I think you got some numbers that have come in to just rebalance the whole chart. And then just generally because of that, I think you got more options to work with. Overall, I think a roster that is more balanced, and it's going to be on the coaches now to, again, can we raise the floor of this team? Last year, the 5-7 is, can you raise the floor a little bit to where, at their worst, you can crack out a bowl game. That's what you're hoping for.
So two things, and then we're gonna break into the schedule. True or false? Chip Kelly left Deshaun Foster a complete rebuild here.
Totally true. I mean,
Okay.
we can spend a whole other hour talking about
and we have talked about this before. So yeah, true. Okay. True or false? The fan base understands this and is going to be patient with Deshaun Foster.
Mostly true. I do think people want to see signs of progress as you go on. So I think the recruiting progress is there. Modern college football, it just kind of goes like this. Sometimes you got to do some things you're not expected to do. You don't get 4 or 5 years to do things. But generally, I would say, the fan base wants Deshaun to succeed. They'll be patient.
Yeah. The other cautionary tale here, though, is like we've seen this story before, right? You don't have to look too far back to Rick Neuheisel's tenure here. He came in. There were a lot of different factors between the two, but it's a similar kind of thing where former player, former, Rose Bowl legend, came in with a lot of bluster, a lot of energy, recruited his tail off, brought a lot of talent in, and then ultimately completely fell apart. Like it didn't pan out. So again, it goes back to like, yes, people will be patient to a point, but to Kevin's earlier point, like, yes, there needs to be signs of progress over year. And if we don't see that materialize this upcoming season, I think people will start jumping ship. It's just been a really long time since UCLA has been decent even and consistently decent, right? It's been nearly a decade now. And so people are kind of burnt out in that regard. But hey, if you start winning, even getting to a bowl game, people will come. People will come back. People want to come back.
All right, let's see if we can't find 6 wins or more in this schedule, guys. Let's dive into it here. I will 100% hats off to UCLA for being willing to play a good team in the non-conference. Looking at you, Indiana, right now, for your cowardness. You guys start off last year. I think it was week 2 or 3? You played LSU.
Yeah, it was week 2.
Yeah.
Week 2, and this year you're starting off week 1 against an old quasi Pac-12 foe in Utah. That's right. It's one of the games in week 1 people have highlighted as, hey, this is a good game. Usually in college football, you don't get good week 1 games. This year we're getting a lot of them.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Miami. You get Clemson and LSU. And UCLA, Utah. These are big names going up against one another in week 1. And you guys get them at home. I got to imagine Utah's coming off a disappointing year last year. There's a ton of we need to bounce back type of feelings going on over there and that on that campus as well here. This is one of those games where a lot of people probably don't have UCLA winning this one, but if you could start the season off and catch them, Utah at home, and you get a W there, all of a sudden that changes the perspective of everything, in my opinion. Agree or disagree?
No doubt. I think this is a big swing factor game because you look at it, you win that game, and then you don't have to squint too hard to then see a 3-0 to 4-0 start, and that gets you, 2/3 of the way there to that bowl game. So it's a major swing factor game. Utah is coming off a tough season, but again, it's Kyle Whittingham. You never know, kind of the bounce back factor there could be really quick. But it's a chance for Deshaun at home to, again, kind of make a small little statement. It's not a big statement, right? But a small little statement to try to get some positive momentum for the whole season going. The one kind of annoyance here, it's a Friday at 5 o'clock game. TV networks, for TV purposes,
Brutal.
we always kind of get these times. Friday at 5 o'clock to get out to Pasadena, people are going to be leaving work at 2 and 3, and it's going to be tough. So that's kind of a soft factor to it. But overall, I think that's a massive swing factor game. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Week 2 at UNLV. Explain that to me. You went to Hawaii last year.
So it's funny. Usually when you go to Hawaii, you get to play a 13th game because you chose to go all the way to Hawaii. Our schedule was so damn hard last year. We're like, no mosts. We don't want that 13th game.
Yeah, these like games at UNLV, or in the past we've done like at Fresno State. These are they're strange games in the sense that everyone expects you to go beat these teams, and we should beat these teams. But they're always decently quality teams, like Fresno State, UNLV. UNLV last year had a great season. Like they have good players generally with chips on their shoulders because they are all players from, the Southern California, Nevada region that were overlooked by schools like UCLA generally. So they play with heart and they play with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to do everything they can to go beat UCLA. So you go to these teams, you play them, you beat them, no one cares. Great, you beat UNLV. You lose to UNLV, and it's the end of the world, right?
Right.
It's like a no-win situation.
Exactly. I don't know why your athletic director would put you guys in a situation like that.
I think some of this is we're trying to keep it on the West Coast. We're trying to limit some travel to other schools. So let's try to keep the non-conference here within,
but you have the Rose Bowl to have. You want to play? You play us. Come to the Rose Bowl. Like it
is a weird.
You guys aren't this is not the only Big Ten team that's doing this year, and I'm like, what? Like, why are we throwing these guys a bone? I don't understand it. But anyways, obviously UCLA go win the game, right?
Yeah.
At this point, there's nothing we can do, so go win the game. Now, New Mexico is coming to the Rose Bowl. I look at this and say, okay, hypothetically, I've got you penciled in at 2-1 there before the bye on September 20th. But again, if you can win that game against Utah, the perspective of everything is different. The crazy thing would be if you beat Utah and then go out to UNLV and lay an egg. And then we're just sitting here going, again, at this point, fire the athletic director. That's what I would say if I were you guys. But okay.
We got no issues with that, trust me.
2-1 is kind of where I have you guys here going in the bye. At Northwestern, funky game. That game usually is difficult because you're playing in a place where they never cut grass. The grass will be a foot long. It's on Lake Michigan now because they don't have a home stadium.
Right.
So it's in a makeshift little home field, it's like playing in a glorified high school field. And it has become a huge home field advantage for them. I've watched several Northwestern games at that stadium. Now, if you play them in Wrigley Field, which is a terrible, terrible place to play a football game, but I digress. This is not an easy game for UCLA to go to Chicago and play this game on the Northwestern campus on the lake. It's going to be windy. The weather could be a little wonky there, late September. Not that it's going to be super cold, but you might get a rainstorm or a windstorm there that could affect this game. But again, I think UCLA's talent is better, and talent should win out. Agree?
Totally. I think the hope is, one, the talent carries you through. 2, you're coming in 2-1 with a bye week right before, so you have the time to rest up, to study Northwestern, to figure out what they're doing. And you go in and get the win. Like, by hook or by crook, you should be able to go win this game. if you lose this game again, you're in trouble. I think you're looking at the rest of the schedule, trying to find 4 more wins potentially, and it starts getting dicier. But I truly think that UCLA should win this game. I don't know, Kevin, if you disagree with that.
I'm happy that it's going to be late September and not like one of those October, November games at Northwestern. Those are the ones that are just really brutal. Like, again, where the grass is a foot long, no one can even run. Like, it's all this like weird stuff going on out there. So I think, but still, you still got, Lake Michigan and the wind and all that stuff going on there. The way I look at it, if UCLA is not 3-1 coming out of this Northwestern game at bare minimum, it's going to be hard to show progress this season. The way I look at the rest of it. Last season, I mean, the start of the year, we got to the Minnesota game, but 5 games in, we're like, are we going to win another game this year? Are we going 1-11? You don't want to have that feeling at this point in the season. You want to have at least some more positive momentum.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you guys get better as the season went on?
Yeah. And yes, we did. So, and that was like, we got to that point, it felt like a train wreck, and then we got better and we won 4-2 to finish the year. Right. So like that was all good. You're hoping this year that you don't have to go through that experience last year of the growing pains of a coach and the whole deal. And, you forgot some people on the punt, 9 men on the punt team, like all that kind of stuff that we went through at the beginning of the season last year as a growing pains of a coach. You're hoping to not go through that this year and start a bit more positively.
Absolutely. October 4th, Penn State, who might be preseason ranked number 1, comes to town. We're just going to skip over that one, but you do get them at home. And Penn State, when their one West Coast trip last year, they won, but it was not easy for them. So we'll see. October 11th. If this game was at home, I would feel much more comfortable for you guys. But it's in East Lansing. Again, this feels very much like Northwestern, but a step up now and level here. It's not an easy place to play. Again, weather might be a factor now, and you have to go into their place. But this is a game, hypothetically, UCLA has got a very good chance of winning. I would feel much better if it was at home, but you're on the road. Your feelings on this one, Zed?
I've gone back and forth on this. I think that, yes, I agree. If it was at home, I'd feel much better. That being said, I think UCLA can beat Michigan State. I don't look at Michigan State like I did maybe 8 to 10 years ago. This is not the same Michigan State that we used to watch. UCLA also went out last season and won a couple of big road games. I mean, they went to Nebraska, which I think we were all very shocked about, and beat Nebraska in Lincoln. So even like that track record hopefully can carry over and with some of the players that were there last season and have that experience to propel them through here. I think UCLA can get through a nail biter here. It'll be tough. I feel it's like a 50-50. I will give them the win here for now.
Versus Maryland, chalk that up as a W. I think Maryland's the worst team in the Big Ten this year. That's my. And I don't know how much of a hot take that is. When we had the Maryland guys on, when we did their preview, they literally are like, this is a hopeless season. So I think that's a W. October 25th, Kevin, this one I'm going to swing it to you. Early on last year, Kurt Cignetti and Indiana went out to the West Coast before we knew Indiana was going to be good, and they put a whooping on you guys.
But got to watch that live.
That was early, and that was ugly. And we didn't know who Indiana was at that time. And like you said, it was early in the season, and UCLA wasn't the same UCLA that ended the season. This feels very much like we're going out to Bloomington, Indiana, and we're not going to let that happen again. Like, this is going to be kind of a revenge factor game, and it's our turn to go out there and let's put it all out on the field and see what happens here. I feel this could be a coin flip game.
Yeah, I think once you finish Penn State, you get to a lot of these coin flippy kind of games. I think Michigan State was kind of that ilk. I think Indiana is another kind of game of that nature. Again, yeah, last year was a kind of a freaky sight when you saw Indiana do that to you, but you didn't know who they were. Again, for me, these kind of road games, it's Tino Sinceri, Nico, offensive line. That combination's just got to come together. And if it comes together by this point in the season, you hope that UCLA can go and try to get some wins at these kind of places.
All right, let's look at November after your second bye. You guys mentioned it. You went into Lincoln. You shocked the Cornhuskers. Now they got to come out to the Rose Bowl. Zed, this one could be interesting. Nebraska's looking to take the next step. They went to a bowl game last year for the first time in a long time. Now they want to take a next step. They want to compete at a higher level. In order to do that, they're going to have to come into the Rose Bowl and they're going to have to beat the Bruins if they're going to want to do that. And they didn't do that at home last year. This one feels almost like the Indiana game in reverse now.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a fun game. I think you have Dylan Raiola coming in. You have Nico on our end. This will be a good QB battle. I'm curious to see how Nebraska looks this season, coming off of last year. It's early hype and then faltering kind of throughout the season down the stretch. This one scares me, honestly. Like, even if it's at home, it scares me a little bit. I think we can beat Nebraska, but I wouldn't be shocked. Again, these are all kind of coin flippy games. So, 50-50. I'll say UCLA, but I'm not shocked if UCLA loses this game either.
November 15th, I know a little something about this one. The Bruins are going to come out and visit the shoe. I might be going to this one.
We're talking about going to this one, actually.
Are you guys? If you guys come out, let me know, man. I live like 45 minutes from the stadium. I'll be happy to meet you guys at the airport or something and show you guys around if you guys come out.
Awesome.
So,
yeah,
that sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it's going to the shoes and experience, and I think you guys will have a good time. But
I think it will be a good. I don't think the field will be a great time, but I think we're gonna really love going to the shoe.
The shoe's awesome. The shoe's awesome.
Have you been? Have you been before?
I went. So I have family that lives in Columbus, so I actually went to the Indiana Ohio State game last year, which was a ton of fun. Yeah.
That was a fun one to go to.
Yeah, well, if you're a Buckeye fan, for sure. The Indiana fans sitting next to me were not so fun or having much fun, but good. Yeah. It was fun. It was a good time.
I remember. If I'm not mistaken, UCLA and Ohio State played in the '90s. If I recall correctly, I was a younger kid then. So, and of course, if anybody who knows their history knows that in 1976, maybe?
The Archie Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah. Ohio State beat UCLA in the regular season at the beginning of the year. They go out to the Rose Bowl. There's a rematch with the UCLA. Ohio State wins that game. They win the national championship, and the Bruins upset the Buckeyes. So there's some history.
Yeah.
November 22nd, you guys play. Well, your last two you guys know well. November 22nd, you get Washington at home, and November 29th, you go across town to take on the rival Trojans. Your thoughts on the old Pac-12 rivals to finish up the season here?
Washington, year 2 of Jedd Fisch will be interesting. Recruiting year 1 went well for them. Jedd Fisch usually does. That'll be, again, interesting how that goes. You do get them at home. The rivalry game, I think, is always just generally going to be a close game. SC this year, obviously under a lot of pressure. You might look at the quarterbacks in this game and say the edge goes to UCLA, Jaden Mayava versus Nico. But again, long way to go. I'm not going to say we're going to lose that game. So we're just
out of principle. Yeah.
Line of scrimmage, I think, if UCLA, again, improves with the line of scrimmage by this point of the year, I think they'll have a good chance in that game.
Zed, any thoughts, man?
No, I agree. Like Washington will be interesting. I mean, we've played Washington tough before. We beat them a couple of years ago. I like at home. I tend to take UCLA at the Coliseum. Always difficult. I mean, it's that game. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of emotion on both sides from the players. I think if you're looking at it, like I would imagine Deshaun Foster wants to beat them more than anything. So I think he's going to bring it here. I think with the roster we have, with the quarterback we have, with the players, if like Kevin mentioned, if the line of scrimmage has gelled for us, if our O line is playing competently, and if we have an effective D line, I just think that we will be much more physical than them. We've seen this before with Lincoln Riley teams. They can get all the talent in the world, and if you push them around a little bit, they start folding. We've seen it at USC with them. So it's just a matter of having the mental toughness and being more mentally tough. I think Deshaun Foster will have the guys ready for that game, and I'll chalk that up to W.
I
Because I will
like
never
it.
put an L there. So.
I like it. Okay, then it's time to put where the rubber meets the road, money where your mouth is, whatever saying you want to go with here. What is your absolute? This was everything went wrong basement, and everything went absolutely right ceiling for the UCLA Bruins in 2025.
I will say that the basement season is going to be 4-8. 3-9, 4-8. It would be like, Nico threw a tantrum, and the offensive line still not good. We didn't find an edge rush. Probably you can find a way to get 3-4 wins still somewhere in there, but that would be kind of disaster case, and that would really be negative momentum against Deshaun Foster. I think the best case, as you look at this, again, absolute best case, I think, could you get to 8? Could you get that? I think is what you're hoping for. You start 4-0, you win a couple of those coin flip games, Michigan State, Maryland, Nebraska. Maybe you win another home game. That's about how you get to 8 wins. That I think is honestly, if you're the realistic case, I think is about in the middle. Again, you're hoping to crack a bowl game out of this year and just show progress. But the real thing, I just keep going back to this, which is like in college football, to build positive momentum, sometimes you got to do a couple things you're not expected to do. That's kind of how it works for a lot of these teams. Arizona State did a couple things they weren't expected to do. Indiana did a few things they weren't expected to do. I don't think we're looking to go to the college football playoff or anything here. But can you win a couple games here that, again, maybe you weren't expected to win and hold your serve? That's how you start to actually build positive momentum and get people talking about you. So that's the hope. But again, the minimum I think that you're hoping for out of the season, again, is a bowl game.
I'll up the ante a little bit. I think anything under 6 games, I would consider a failure for this season. I think that's the baseline for this season to be any type of success. You need to get to a bowl game. I think if you're looking at the trend line, trying to build off of last season, trying to build off of the positive recruiting momentum, you got to figure out a way to win 6 games to get into a bowl game. I'm not even asking for like a great bowl game here. Give me like the Cheez-It Bowl or whatever random cereal.
Oh, don't Pop-Tart Bowl, baby.
Pop-Tart.
Come on.
I'll take it. I will take it.
What's the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Those all sound
that
fantastic.
one has lasted the test of time. Like some of these bowl games have just changed sponsors. The Duke's Mayo Bowl has lasted the test of time.
My point is, like, I think that's the bare minimum, like, floor we should be aiming for. Now, I agree with Kevin. I think when you're looking at the schedule, I could see us, if everything falls into place at the right time, I could see us winning 8 games. Like, it's not crazy to see that on the schedule. There's a lot of ifs in that, right? If this happens and if that happens, and this other thing happens. But like it could happen, and it's not insane to think that you could go on to win 8 games maybe, and overachieve. If you're Deshaun Foster and you manage to do that, then you're cooking with some gas here. Then you're going to see a lot more NIL money coming in. You're going to see recruiting, probably step up to the next level even. And obviously then the expectations get heightened. But
Sure.
that's what I'm looking for. Win between 6 and 8 games. Anything over 6 games is a big win, and is a success.
So I watched Nico play his last game for Tennessee.
Oof.
And as an Ohio State fan, this isn't me being a Nico fan. This isn't me being a UCLA Bruin fan. This is me just telling you straight up. Yes, Ohio State dog walked Tennessee, but it was not because of Nico.
Yeah.
Nico was really at the end of the day, I came away impressed by him and his play. He played a gutsy game. There was a lot of his teammates around him that were soft and quit. It wasn't him. It was not him. I think he leads you guys to 6 wins this year.
And I would be very happy.
I have you guys at 6-6, and I do see a path where you guys can win more than 6. But I also see a path where if things don't go well early, and circle that Northwestern game as a big one. You're right, Kevin. If you go into Northwestern and you come away with a loss, I could see things getting ugly. But give me 3-1 with a win over Northwestern. I got you guys at 6-6 this year.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I think that's fair.
All right. Tell everybody where they can find the Bruin Source, my friends.
You can find us on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, at Bruin Source. We're also on Spotify. Just look for us at Bruin Source, Apple Podcasts, really everywhere you can find our podcast. If you can't find it, let us know. We'll get you the show on that platform. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And we're on the College Huddle, obviously.
Obviously, yep. So head on to thecollegehuddle.com. Big Ten down to UCLA. There you'll find all the links to everything for them, and they are a great follow. And my favorite UCLA podcast to listen to. That's why
thank
I
you.
invited them to
That's
the
high
College
praise. That's high praise.
It's going to be a fun year. You guys end up coming to Columbus. Let me know. Get a hold of me. We'll make sure and make a good weekend for you guys. Thank you so much, and we will catch up next time, guys. Have a good season.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having us. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you, Kevin and Zaid from the Bruin Source Podcast. I appreciate so much you guys coming on and dropping all that knowledge on our lap. All right. You heard it. You heard it there, Chris. It is a cautiously optimistic fan base. And I think they have reason to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have a very difficult schedule again this year.
They do.
I don't know if they can get bowl eligible. I don't know if they can repeat that success. I personally don't have them picked to do that. But I also think that this is a team that if they start getting hot, if they would come out of the gate and get a win against Utah, for instance, I think this is a team that can come out and start out 5-2, 6-1.
And that's exactly what, we were talking about with Kevin and Zaid, man, is like that. You want to talk about an important opening game. Yes, Ohio State has one against Texas, right? Notre Dame has one against Miami. Clemson has one against LSU. Those are huge games. But I mean, right there is Utah and UCLA. One of those two teams is going to come out of that game feeling really good about themselves, and the other one is going to be like, here we go again, based off of what happened in 2024. So without any further ado, let's dive into what the schedule looks like for UCLA once again. All right. The over-under, Chris, according to Vegas, is 5.5 games. Brother, you and I are skirting all around that. And you and I have been, for the most part this year, step for step with each other until this one. We're only 2 games apart, but we are
It's a big
2
two
games
games, though,
apart.
Eric.
That's a big 2 games. Now, let me tell you how I think they're going to get there, and then maybe you can tell me how you think they're not going to get there. Utah, UNLV, New Mexico, Northwestern. They've got to go 3-1. I think they go 3-1 in those games.
Fair. I think as I look back, I think I also have them 3-1 in those games. I have them losing to Utah.
Yep. All right. So looking at the next block of games here, Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland, at Indiana. I actually have them winning one of those versus Maryland.
I do as well.
Okay. This is where things get swirly for you. You don't have them winning another game.
I do not. I like Nebraska a lot this year. I think they go in and they take care of business at UCLA. I don't like their chances versus Ohio State. Could they get a sneaky win versus Washington? Maybe.
So
But I've got it as a loss right now, and then USC I've got as a loss.
Here's where I got those 6 wins and how they get to 4-5 in the conference. Well, first off, Washington struggles against UCLA, especially in the Rose Bowl. I think they win that game. That gives them to win number 5. And Nebraska, even though I think they have a pretty good year and they take a step forward, I do believe they stub their toe against UCLA in this game.
Fair enough. And with both those games being in the Rose Bowl, I could see that as a possibility.
And here's where it's going to boil down to. Year 2, Dylan Raiola. Year 1 in UCLA, but year 3 in college football for Nico. I think Nico, this is the type of game where Nico has a little Nico magic here. I also think UCLA defensively is going to be better than people think. I just think if it's a head-to-head matchup, give me the quarterback who's playing at home in that matchup.
And I think that's a fair assessment. I think Raiola does take the next step this year, obviously. I do think that, yes, it's year 2 for Raiola in his system. This is year 1 for Nico in this new system. Is the chemistry there? Should be by that point in the year, but I don't know.
And really, this 6-6 getting to a bowl game breaks down to 4 games where they are going, well, really 5 games where they're going to have to win 2 of those 5.
Yeah.
Utah, Michigan State, Indiana, Nebraska, Washington. They got to find 2 wins in those 5 games. If they do, they go bowling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see one. Because I think they will get an upset over what I called as well somewhere in there, just because of the nature of the game. Do I see 2? I don't know. I'm hard pressed to see 2. I think you're right. It's conceivably possible. Could they get a win at Michigan State? Maybe. And then, like you said, they do well versus Washington at home. Maybe those are the 2 games. You know?
Now, obviously, they can't stub their toe against Northwestern or Maryland either, right?
And I don't think they will. I really don't.
Nor do I. And they obviously can't embarrass themselves against UNLV or New Mexico. But
Eric, what if they beat Utah week 1? What does that do for this team? What does that do for their psyche and their approach to the game?
I tell you what it does. They could hypothetically be playing Penn State as a 4-0 undefeated team on October 4th.
And they get them at home.
Weirder things have happened. You know, the more we dive into these schedules, the more I'm starting to think Penn State has got some landmines out there.
Absolutely. And you look at that Penn State game, that's coming off a game versus Oregon. That could be a letdown game.
either way. They could be feeling pretty high. They beat Oregon in a whiteout at home. They're the number one team in the country. They go out to the West Coast. By the way, Penn State, when they went out to the West Coast last year, they won, but it was not pretty.
It was not easy.
They struggled. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I say, weirder things have happened, guys. I don't know, man. So that's what we think. Let us know what you think about what we think down in the comments section below. We love to get the feedback from all of you, good, bad, and different. Unless you're an Indiana fan and I make a video about you.
You know what? Indiana fans have to realize, guys, you are what you are. We are what you thought you were. A fluke. You're going back to reality this year, guys. Now, I'm not saying you're going to drop off the face of the earth. I still think you can be an 8-win team, maybe even a 9-win team. You're not a playoff team. It's just not there.
This is not an Indiana video, though, but you all can tell by the last two previews we've done that our Indiana preview sparked a lot of controversy among their fan base. This one will not. UCLA fans are pretty chill. They're pretty laid back folks, and they know where they're at, and they would be happy with a 6-6 go to a bowl game season. That's exactly where they would be incredibly happy with, and so we're rooting for you guys, other than when you visit the Horseshoe in late November. That we will not be rooting for you for, because we don't want to stub our toe against you. But hey, man, Nico played well in the Horseshoe. It wasn't his fault that his team was completely inept against Ohio State.
They didn't wear shirts.
I doubt we'll see that again from the Bruins. Anyways, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. If you are not, please consider doing so, and make sure you ring the bell so you get notified every time we go live. Please hit the thumbs up. Give us a like. That'll help this video get to more people just like yourself. And again, please leave us a comment in the comment section below. We want to know what you think about what we think. Thank you so much for watching these. Chris, 10 down, 8 to go.
I know, man. I'm and they're 8 big ones, Eric.
They are 8. Yeah, they're pretty big teams. There's a couple.
There's a couple that are still, but you know what? We still got 4 pretty big teams at least in there.
Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, the team up north. We got Northwestern left.
They are not a big team.
We got Northwestern left. Who am I missing here? There's 3 more. Nebraska, that's 6.
Which could be a big team.
Yeah.
Have we done Purdue? I'm trying to think back.
Yeah, we did Purdue. Is there only 6 left?
Have we done 12?
I think
we may have done 12, Eric.
I've miscounted, maybe.
I don't even know at this point. It's all just a big blur. Between this and the magazine, it's all a big blur.
Exactly. And imagine what happens if the Big Ten adds more. We'll have to start our previews in April. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate all of you. Have a great weekend, everybody. Make sure that, like I said, let us know what you think. Hit thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be kind of one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen High with all your heart. Till next time, Chris OH.
I owe.
Go Bucks.